Here's what most leaders are getting catastrophically wrong about AI right now. I've led teams of hundreds through technology transformations. This one is different. Smart, capable executives are striking out completely on AI adoption, not because they lack intelligence, not because they're moving too slow, but because they're running the wrong mental model entirely. When your enterprise structure starts to dissolve, you can't just bolt new tools onto old architecture. The entire system has to reconstitute. Right now, hundreds of billions are being spent on enterprise AI, near universal executive consensus that it matters. And yet adoption is splitting into two wildly divergent paths. We're not seeing gradual collective progress. We're seeing a chasm. Some organizations are moving at speed. Others are stuck in pilot purgatory, calling it responsible adoption. The gap shouldn't exist, but it does. The independent data from BCG, McKinsey, Deloitte tells the same story. 1 in 20 companies is capturing real, compounding financial value from AI. The rest are spending a fortune to generate motion. Here's the problem. In every other technology wave, laggards eventually catch up. Tools mature. Costs drop. The gap closes. Not this time. The gap is widening. The companies that figured it out early are pulling away. And the ones still running pilots are falling further behind every quarter. The leaders falling behind aren't just late. They're running the wrong race entirely. I've watched enough transformation programs to spot the pattern. The laggards are treating AI like a software upgrade. New tools, same processes, same org chart. The companies pulling ahead understand something different. They're not upgrading the system, they're replacing it. That comprehension gap? It's not closing, it's compounding. Every quarter, the cost of not getting it gets steeper. Let me show you what the successful ones understood. I've worked in nuclear and aviation, industries where getting it wrong isn't an option. That teaches you something about systems. Imagine you run a century-old library. For 100 years, it's been optimized for one thing: the fixed artifact. A book, produced once, identical for everyone, consumed linearly. Your enterprise today is entirely artifacts. Reports, dashboards, policy documents. Now look at the new medium, the interaction. Suddenly people expect something bespoke, generated the moment they ask, shaped to their context, built for conversation. It's not an upgrade to the book, it's a different species entirely. Everything hard about this transition flows from that shift, from artifact to interaction. It changes the system in 5 ways. First, your workforce skills change in kind, not degree. Second, quality gets redefined entirely. An interaction is only as good as the moment it serves. Third, the user stops being passive. They shape the output by asking. Fourth, your competitive advantage moves from how much you have to how well you respond. And fifth, your economics invert. Low fixed cost, high marginal cost. Every answer costs compute. Most transformation roadmaps pretend you can change one of these at a time. You can't. They're load-bearing. Pull one, and the whole structure shifts. That's not a warning. That's just physics. So the instinct is obvious. Why not just renovate? Bring the AI tools into the existing setup. Save money, mitigate risk. Sounds perfectly logical. Except it fails, predictably, every time. Because you're not renovating a kitchen. You're running a new medium through a system built for the old one. The co-pilot sits in production like a chrome espresso machine in a house with no running water. Here's the truly counterintuitive part. Your institution's excellence is the problem. You spent decades refining workflows around artifacts, reports, dashboards, documents. Then you bolt AI onto that system. What happens? The gravitational pull of all that refinement bends the new tools right back into old shapes. Your AI service gets measured by artifact-era metrics, staffed by people trained in artifact-era skills, governed by artifact-era rules. You end up spending a fortune to become a marginally faster version of what you already were. The transformation roadmap becomes a 12-month plan to start planning. Which brings us to the permanent stack. So if renovation is a trap, what's the alternative? You don't get the new thing by improving the old one. You get it by deliberately founding a second institution. Same purpose, entirely different operating system. This is reconstitution. And here's the part that makes leaders uncomfortable. There is no closing date for the original institution. You run them both, in parallel, for longer than you'd like. Most transformation roadmaps assume a clean cutover. There isn't one. Why? Because they form a stack. The new interaction layer, the front, is where AI talks to your customers. but each interaction gets generated in the moment and then disappears. Total amnesia, no long-term memory, which means it relies entirely on the old library sitting beneath it. The corpus layer, the back, your foundational system of record. You cannot shut down the old library. Your shiny new AI front end is physically standing on top of it, while your old library just became your most valuable asset. Here's the paradox nobody sees coming. The more AI-generated content floods the world, the more valuable your old library becomes. When synthetic text is everywhere, information stops being scarce. What becomes scarce is provenance, information you can actually trust. Your institution's patient, totally unglamorous back-office work, curation, validation, documentation, is literally the only thing keeping your AI from hallucinating wildly. The boring work just became the load-bearing work. Most leaders are investing in the flashy front end while starving the foundation it stands on. That's not strategy. That's structural failure waiting to happen. So how do you avoid the renovation trap? You follow a sequence. Reimagine, then re-engineer, then rewire. If you skip straight to step 3 and just rewire an unquestioned legacy process with AI, you get a bolt-on tool wearing the costume of transformation. I've seen this dozens of times. Beautiful implementation, flawless execution, solving the wrong problem. You have to start with a blank sheet. Reimagine what the institution is even for. Engineer it for today's medium. Only then do you wire it up. Skip the first 2 steps and you're just automating the artifact era at interaction layer costs. So here's your literal Monday morning checklist. First, fund the spine before the catalog. Pour capital into the unglamorous data foundation layer long before you start building flashy front-end agents. Second, establish credibility where the medium is obviously better. Start in your back office. Third, treat workforce fluency as a massive institutional investment, not a weekend seminar. And fourth, measure success in readers served, not artifacts produced. Most transformation programs do this backwards. They buy the shiny thing first, then wonder why it sits idle. The boring infrastructure work isn't the tax you pay for innovation. It is the innovation. The permanent portfolio mindset for AI transformation. This requires a profound mindset shift. Retire the idea that you're running a temporary transformation program with a budget line and a closing date. That's over. Instead, embrace the role of chief librarian running a permanent portfolio. You're managing split capital, 2 workforces, 2 regulatory postures, 2 completely distinct institutions in parallel, not temporarily, permanently. Most executives are still waiting for the transition to end. It won't. The duality is the new steady state. So here's the question you need to ask yourself and your board at the next meeting. Are you pretending to run a program with a closing date, or do you have the courage to run a permanent portfolio of 2 distinct institutions? What your enterprise becomes on the other side of this shift is still a choice. But the time to make that choice is right now. The people who understand this early will have an unfair advantage. Follow for more.